Thank you. First of all, before I start, I would like to thank all the testifiers that are here, everyone that's here. I think more important than any of the testimony I could possibly bring here, I'm glad to see the voices of other veterans here speak. I've been very impressed by what I've seen today, and I think every one of them is a courageous individual, and I thank them for everything they're doing. I'm glad everyone made it here. And I'd like to thank the people who've helped organize this as well, particularly the Freedoms Forum in Freiburg, and Thomas, who's really busy back there in the corner. Like, we could not possibly have done it without these two and without Zach here as well. That being said, I guess I'll move on. I was stationed in I joined the military in 2004, after the war was already well underway. I was working at Domino's Pizza, delivering pizza, and the recruiting station was across the street from where I lived. And not where I lived, but from where I was working at the Domino's. And I had no prospects of college. I was trying to go to community college and work at the same time. That wasn't working out very well. And I wanted out of the small little town I was living in New Jersey, and I saw the Army as an easy ticket out of there. Well, my dumb ass, I signed up for the reserves. Like, the reserves don't go anywhere. Like, after I got out of basic training in AIT, I remained in New Jersey for a little while. I joined the reserves. I joined a non-combatant MOS, what they call a job in the military, because I wasn't really the guy who really wanted to go to combat. I just kind of wanted the college money. I deployed I got sent to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for basic training. Fort Gordon, AIT. It's close to Fort Stewart, where this guy over here was. It's in Georgia as well. I did very well in basic training. I was a PT stud. I was in great shape. I went to AIT. I was an honor graduate there from the Fort Gordon Signal School. And I came back to my unit in Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania, and I pretty much found myself in the same boat I was in before I joined the Army. I still had no prospects of school. I'd had a good time in basic training. I performed well. I was a decent shot. I ran fast. I did my job well. And I kind of was still sick of living in my small town in New Jersey. So I signed up to go into active duty. It took about a 1 year process through the reserves. And I signed up to go to South Korea at first because I knew that they weren't deploying. Like, a unit from my reserve battalion a company from my reserve battalion had already deployed. So I knew that there was always a good chance of me being deployed even from the reserves. And I decided to go active duty. I asked for South Korea. They said, there's no spots for you there, but we can find you a spot in Germany, yeah? And of course, I jumped at the chance for Germany. Germany sounds great. I love it here, actually. I love living here. You guys are great people here. And I took the opportunity. I arrived in Darmstadt, Germany, where Darnell, my unit is, the 440th Signal Battalion. And I got there about a couple of weeks before they're deploying. Basically, I signed up when I went to signed a new contract with the Army to go active duty. They sent me straight to a deploying unit. And I was kind of shocked when I got there. Like, they have a little integration course in the Army that they give you to teach you a couple words of German and this, that, and the other. And they didn't give it to me because, well, you're going to Iraq soon. You're not going to need this in Iraq. And so after that, I decided I was pretty shocked. I thought I was going to do my job anyways. Like, I was stuck. I had the hand I was dealt. I didn't know much about Iraq, didn't have much of an opinion on it, and I took the chance and I went to Iraq. Now, beforehand, I was training for a couple of weeks in Grafenwehr. I was being trained for combat. I went to Grafenwehr is a very cool place. It's in Bavaria. It's northeast of Nuremberg. We trained to do react to indirect fire, to do convoy security missions, to handle detainees, and things of that nature. It was basically getting me ready for combat. And instead of using that, when I arrived in Camp Victory, about a month and a half after my unit arrived there as an individual replacement, Then I learned that none of that was necessary at all in Camp Victory. Camp Victory was something completely surreal. I arrived at Camp Victory on Thanksgiving Day, 2005. And one of the first things he told me there was that they were having turkey in the DFAC. And that, turkey in the DFAC. I was expecting to live in a tent in the middle of the desert eating MREs for a year. Oh, and the cantina. DFAC is cantina. MREs are field rations. And I was shocked at first, like, what? There's turkey here. And I go into the DFAC, the cantina, and there's Pakistani people cooking there. At first I thought, like, what the hell are these? Are these people Iraqi? I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was completely a shock for me. And later on I learned that they were employed by a company called KBR, which stands for Kellogg Brown and Root. And in 2005, it was a subsidiary of Halliburton itself. And for every meal I ate inside the cantina, I heard that the U.S. taxpayer is paying somewhere between $19 to $28. It was nice. They had a Baskin-Robbins ice cream inside the DFAC. They had the place where you could get gyros. They had Philly cheesesteaks made to order. They had lobster and steak on Fridays. I was so happy to be there. Like, oh man, I got the luckiest deployment ever. And at the same time, it was complete absurdity. You could hear the explosions of Baghdad in the background. Like, the whole entire ground would shake sometimes. You could see the columns of smoke rising from over the walls of Camp Victory. But Camp Victory itself was pretty safe, and you learned to ignore those things after a couple weeks. I guess you were on BIOP sometimes, yeah? Yeah, it was right next to BIOP. It was incredibly, incredibly safe there. And I guess what really bothered me was just how incredibly surreal it was, you know? They have all these old palaces of Saddam Hussein. They used one of them, the Al-Faw Palace, as a headquarters of multinational Corps Iraq. Several of them were used as the Australian headquarters. Some of the old houses of Saddam Hussein's bodyguards that were around the palace were used for very high-ranking officers, such as General Casey and the command sergeant major of the theater. And I guess I did some work there too for like the British commander of Iraq. And I was very impressed, you know, like you got secret prisons here, you got explosions in the background, you got Saddam Hussein's old palaces, and you got a Pizza Hut and a Subway's here. It was completely absurd to me. But what really kind of struck me was some of the people I talked to there. For example, there was a field artillery unit from the 101st Airborne Division that had taken over the TCN detail. That's the Third Country National. They would also do the LN detail. It's local national. They would take in the Iraqis from the gates, and those of us who had detail to do guard, we would be sent out to guard the Iraqis here and there all over the base. And we were in full body rattle. We had M16s, flak. It's a bulletproof vest, actually, not a flak jacket, and a helmet. And we watched them while they worked. They would get paid usually not too much, I would imagine. And we were basically doing private. Doing private security for private companies. Yeah, like we were work for the government, but we were basically doing a job that these private companies were supposed to do by providing security for the Iraqis and making sure they weren't going all over the base, planting bombs, and providing for their security as well. And what bothered me was how shittily they were treated. I mean, they were paid nothing. And the people who employed them were making record profits. The stock of KBR shot up so much since the beginning of the Iraq War. And that's kind of really one thing I wanted to touch on. Another thing I wanted to touch on as just one really thing that bothered me about Camp Victory was an incident. There was a corner of Camp Victory called Lost Lake. Lost Lake was a area we weren't allowed to take photos of. We do PT runs around it in every Monday morning. A lot of units use it as a running area because it's a very quiet area.